I think we can all agree that that most recent Nintendo Direct was definitely surprising. With the base Nintendo Switch clearly coming to an end soon, I and most other people were absolutely shocked with just how many new games we saw announced. Mario Party I kind of expected, 2D Zelda was like on the top of my wish list, but I didn't think it would actually happen. Some big third-party stuff like Dragon Quest remakes, and oh yeah, a new Mario and Luigi, plus a port of DKC Returns. I mean, this is nuts. So it appears the Switch has a little gas left in the tank after all. And considering we just got the most Nintendo news we've gotten probably within the last year, I think it's worth it to re-examine the future announcement of the Switch 2 under this new lens. So what's going on, guys? It's Thomas from the Switch Stop, and let's take a look at what this most recent Nintendo Direct means for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, it's incredibly clear that this Direct and Switch 2 have a lot more in common than what you might first think. After all, the fact that we were even getting a June Direct was directly confirmed by a tweet that also announced that the Switch 2 is even a thing that they're working on, and more importantly, that it'll be announced within this fiscal year, which would be until the end of March 2025. But I've seen a lot of people think that because we got so many more games announced, the Switch 2 might be further off than people think. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that my main thought process for the Switch 2 is as follows. I think the Switch 2 will be announced sometime later this year. It might be in September, maybe October, maybe even November, but towards the end of this year, we will get a trailer showing off the Switch 2 just like the original Nintendo Switch reveal trailer that came out late in 2016. This will basically show us what the console looks like, and it'll show/reveal a couple of games in that trailer that are running on the console. Nintendo won't confirm that these games are actually games, but they're clearly not tech demos. I mean, the same thing happened with Super Mario Odyssey. We saw footage of someone playing in the Sand Kingdom before we even knew the game's name or that it was a real thing we could play. Same thing with Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then we also saw Skyrim and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I've always thought that they're going to do the same thing. They're going to show that initial announcement trailer later this year, and then we're in for a relatively early Switch 2 launch in the first half of 2025. Why do I think this? Well, the Switch 2, according to all rumors, was originally supposed to come out in 2024, but then it did get pushed back to 2025, supposedly so that the launch titles and initial Switch 2 exclusive games will have time to be completed, which is a good thing. You can't launch a console with no games. I mean, Nintendo has learned this the hard way multiple times. But the fact that it was originally supposed to be this year just gives me a strong feeling it'll come out in the first half of 2025. However, again, this Direct, to some people at least, seems to be pushing that notion away. And I kind of understand where they're coming from. The fact that we got so many new games announced, such as a brand new 2D Zelda, Return for Mario RPG, and a Mario Party, and those always sell incredibly well, why would they announce all these games to come later this year if they were still going to announce the Switch 2 later this year? Well, in order for me to kind of disprove that theory, we gotta take a look back at the Nintendo Switch's launch and initial reveal in 2016. What other big games was Nintendo putting out in 2016 around the time they announced the Switch? Well, the last big Wii U game was Paper Mario Color Splash, which released on October 7th, 2016. Funnily enough, exactly 8 years and 1 month later, we're getting Mario and Luigi Brothership, another Mario RPG coming out super late in Nintendo's console lifecycle. We also got Mario Party Star Rush on November 4th, 2016, and Pokemon Sun and Moon released on the 3DS as well, late in 2016. So look at it, it's literally a brand new Mario Party, we're getting that later this year, a brand new Mario RPG, we're getting that later this year, and Pokemon, which obviously Pokemon Legends ZA is coming out in 2025. I could totally see them putting out this initial announcement trailer for the Nintendo Switch 2 around November 20th, as clearly Nintendo is not worried about a new trailer for an upcoming console distracting from holiday sales. I mean, they did the exact same thing in 2016. They waited a couple weeks after Paper Mario Color Splash. Here, I think they just wait a couple weeks after Mario and Luigi Brothership. Another thing I'd like to point out is with Pokemon Legends ZA. This game almost flew completely under the radar because A, we really don't know too much about it yet. We've obviously gotten no gameplay, and B, we got so many other games announced in this June presentation that the fact that Pokemon didn't have a Pokemon Presents or nothing like that, it kind of just got overshadowed. Pokemon Legends ZA is slated to come out in 2025, meaning right now the Nintendo games we know of confirmed for 2025 are Pokemon Legends ZA, Metroid Prime 4, and Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, but that's coming out in January and it's just a pretty low effort port, so it doesn't really, factor into this discussion here. Anyway, if Pokemon Legends ZA is coming out very early 2025, like every single point of data suggests, the fact that they announced announced it so early, the fact that the other Legends game, Legends Arceus, came out in January, I believe. My current theory still does line up of having a November announcement for the Nintendo Switch 2 console with a big presentation like we got in January of 2017 for the original Nintendo Switch coming in February, right after Pokemon Legends ZA releases either late January or early February, and then the console itself releases maybe April or May. This makes complete sense as it's pretty much exactly what they did with the base Nintendo Switch, but just shifted back a month. Instead of announcing the console in October, they'll announce it in November. Instead of showing off a bunch of new games for this console in January, they'll show them off in February. I think it just makes sense. That way the announcement of the brand new console doesn't overshadow the release of Mario and Luigi Brothership, but also clearly Nintendo isn't really concerned about it overshadowing the entire holiday season and jeopardizing their holiday sales because they did the same thing back then. Then their big presentation that'll show off a bunch of the launch titles, give press hands-on with the new console, and detail its first year's lineup, and then the release would be pushed back a month, so instead of releasing in March like the base Nintendo Switch did in 2017, it would release probably in April or May, and yes, I completely believe it'll release simultaneously with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. No, I don't think this trailer we just got is running on the Switch 2. Retro has already shown that they're just graphically built different, especially with the Metroid Prime 1 remaster, and this isn't a remaster, it's its own game, so obviously it can look a lot better. Also, Digital Foundry, if you follow them, they basically do technical deep dives into trailers and games, and they believe it's running on Switch 1, and I 100% believe them more than any other rumor, leak, whatever. So yeah, while I believe this trailer is obviously running on Switch 1 and the game will release on Switch 1 because that's what Nintendo is saying, definitely do think that it will simultaneously release on the Nintendo Switch 2. And oh yeah, following the thought process of they're just going to do the Switch launch kind of again because it worked so well, this gives them almost the exact same play as Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Prime 4 Beyond is a game that probably will appeal to some kids, but it's definitely more for that hardcore, like grown up with gaming, probably like, you know, high teens to adult now. It's definitely more catering towards that audience, like how Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was too. Last thing I want to mention about this is what made the Nintendo Switch's initial launch so successful was not necessarily the launch itself, but the lineup of software Nintendo had already promised for that console's first year. I mean, just off memory, we obviously had Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Switch, and Snipper Clips, which again, apart from just Breath of the Wild, pretty weak launch lineup, but then boom, Switch launched in March. April, we got a brand new Mario Kart. I know it's not actually new, but it was on the Wii U, so it might as well be new. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. June, we had ARMS, a brand new IP that everyone was excited for, obviously not as big now, but people were excited for it at the time. July, Splatoon 2. August, a Mario RPG and Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. September, I'm pretty sure we got Fire Emblem Warriors. October, obviously we got Super Mario Odyssey. And then December, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That's an insane lineup that really caters to almost every type of video game player. And if Nintendo wants the Switch 2 to even have half as much success as the base Nintendo Switch, they need to do something kind of like that again. And the biggest part of this past Nintendo Direct for me is that it's kind of proving, oh yeah, they're doing it. Because let's actually look at the games they announced. Mario Party is solely developed by ND Cube. They kind of just do Mario Party. They also did like Clubhouse games, but they crank one out every 3 years. So it's not like a ton of development time from Nintendo's main internal studios is being taken up on that, because it's, again, ND Cube. They're doing their own thing. Mario and Luigi Brothership, we don't exactly know who's developing this, but Nintendo's been super coy about the development team and also stated that plenty of ex-Alpha Dream members are working on the game. So it's likely that Nintendo gave it to one of their partner studios, whether that's Next Level Games, Intelligent Systems, whatever, and then just hired a bunch of ex-Alpha Dream people to that. There are rumors going around that it's being developed by Ilka, who did Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl and made like Pokemon Home and stuff. I don't really know if that's true, but whatever. Again, it doesn't really matter who's developing it, at least for the sake of this argument. All that matters is that clearly, again, Nintendo's internal studios are probably not in charge of this, and it's definitely not taking up much of their time. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD is being developed by some porting studio I've never even heard of before, and then we have Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which, while yes, Aonuma did show off, I don't think this is entirely the Zelda team working on this. There are definitely some key players helping out, but I would assume most of this is being done by Grezzo, as it's using the exact same engine, art style, and a lot of the same assets as the Link's Awakening remake that they did back in 2019. So yes, even though there definitely are Zelda team members who are working on this and, you know, putting hard time into it, it's not nearly that intensive, just straight up considering that A, another studio is probably working on it, as another studio made, you know, everything else for the game it's based on, and B, while the game does look really cool in my opinion, it's not like some insanely high scope project. I mean, it's a 2D Zelda in the same style as the Link's Awakening remake. It's gonna be awesome, but it's not like they're, you know, they've been working on this for the past 5 years. So all that to say, with Retro Studios being the ones working on Metroid Prime 4, we really don't know what Nintendo's core development teams, like EPD Tokyo and everything like that, we don't really know anything they're working on at the moment. They announced a lot of stuff at this Direct, don't get me wrong, and I'm excited for all of it, but most of this stuff is being developed by partner studios. All that to say, Nintendo's main main teams, aka the team that makes the Splatoon and Animal Crossing games, the team that makes the 3D Marios, the team that makes the Mario Karts. We don't know what they're doing. The only real thing I guess you could say that was like fully developed in-house by Nintendo, I believe, would be the basketball update for Wii Sports, Nintendo Switch Sports. Dude, if only it was for Wii Sports. But first of all, that probably took 2 minutes to make, and second of all, I'm pretty sure that was data mined in the game when the game launched years ago. So again, they're not really doing anything right now. Well, that's not true. We don't know what they're doing right now, but all signs point to them working on the big first-year lineup for the Nintendo Switch 2. Again, rumors say that's the reason they delayed the console in the first place. I don't know. I'm very confident in my theory that we'll get a trailer later this year, a big reveal presentation towards the start of 2025, and the console will release sometime around April or maybe May. But I want you guys to let me know down in the comments below, and if you made it this far into the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. The two videos on screen right now are our analysis for Mario and Luigi's Brothership's announcement trailer and Super Mario Party Jamboree's trailer. Whatever game you're more excited for, click that analysis and I promise you'll learn something new that'll make you even more hype. I'm Thomas from the Switch Shop signing off. Peace.